Good evening. Good evening. So, I've got a bit of a story for you today. It's got a couple levels, so I will try to not butcher it terribly, and try to keep it as cohesive as possible. But Lord knows. So, I was a pretty pessimistic kid when I was younger. Like I was under the belief that if you thought negatively about something, or if you were pessimistic about something, then that increased the likelihood of the opposite being true. Don't know where I got that idea from, I suppose. So I mean, it slowly faded as I got older. You know, that idea of like trying to negatively reinforce everything in my head, to hopefully do the opposite. I don't know why or what, but yeah, time slowly withered away at that idea, and I started to embrace positivity and embrace the power of positivity and things like that. And yeah, we moved into the house that we were in for. My mom just moved out of that place last year. We had been there for 10 years. Well, she had been there for 10 years, 11 years. I moved out in 2016. Came back for a year at some point. I don't know. Anyway, not really important. I think it was 2014 or 2013 or so. There was a growth in our backyard. Let's see. I think it's on my old Instagram account. The account is private. Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. I'm like in the middle of filming a video about it and I can't even get to it. It's not that important. We had a growth in our backyard, and we didn't know what it was, and it took some serious convincing, but I got my mom to let us keep it and let it continue to grow in our backyard, and it turned out to be a tree. I don't think I have any photos of it that I can show, but many years later, we sorry. Several years later, that tree became an insanely massive tree. I mean, we had no shade coverage in the backyard. We didn't have like a Ramada awning kind of thing at all. So it was nothing. It was just the bare sun, So we got this massive mesquite tree. Yeah, it was an interesting time in my life to where that coincided, because I had just started smoking marijuana, which I suppose feels like a weird thing to mention, but it does relate to the time in my life where I was developing a sincere sense of relation with the world around me, and with a lot of my surroundings, and with nature, and I became a really big audiophile. That also coincided with getting these headphones for Christmas several years back. It really changed the way I listened to music. And then it also sort of just culminated into this thing where like I had this like deep relationship with this tree that planted itself in our backyard, this mesquite tree that planted itself in our backyard. And I mean, it makes me sad to think that, I won't be able to like see it as it gets older and gets bigger and bigger, I suppose, but that's life, you know. People move. That's how it goes. I even got, I can show you, I even got some mesquite leaves tattooed on my leg to, you know, remind me of that, to have that with me, blah, blah, blah. It was my second tattoo I ever got. Yeah. So, all that to say, I love trees. I love trees very much. So fast forward several years, I'm looking to move out on my own, by myself for the first time in my life, and that is, that's a lot, you know. That's a big one, and it was hard to find damn near anything that was affordable, for one. Like, within the span of 6 months, I went from looking at renting prospects to not being able to afford anything on the market. And then I looked into buying, because that was the only way. Sorry, my chair sinks. That was the only way that I could see myself long-term affording anything by myself. So I looked around, and, you know, of course, there wasn't much that I could actually afford. It was very slim pickings. I found this place. This was the cheapest place on the market in the area that I was hoping to be in, which is ironically pretty much the same place that I've been in for the past several years here in Mesa. It's the same sort of, I guess, 1 mile radius. I've moved from place to place to place, but they've all been kind of in the same area. So, yeah. So this place came about, and I was able to snag it. The one main thing, though, that sold this place to me was the tree just outside of my window. I'll show you that as well. Does this feel dramatic or what? So I found this video from a while back, but this is the big old tree that's like right out, like my view right now would be that tree, right? So this is that tree. Blah, blah, blah. This is it's a nighttime photo. This big old guy right here is the tree. This is 2 smaller trees kind of down below. But yeah, it's the side of a big old tree. I was stoked because, yeah, I love trees, and it was nice because it's the 3rd floor, you know, so it sort of has this like kind of like floating in the trees vibe, you know. So each day, I come home and, well, okay, let me back up a little bit, and this is going to spoil it a little bit, but it's whatever. The suspense is not really necessary. I told Paul when I was getting this place, I was like, you know, the day that they chop that tree down, I'm going to be so upset. Like, I'm going to be very upset because, yeah, like that was like one of the main, it was weird. You know, the first time we came and saw this place, you know, I mean, I knew this was like probably the only chance that I would have at actually like having my own place and having something I could afford, for one. So I was like, okay, this is about it, right? And it's, you know, it's a cute place. It's got a vaulted ceiling, which I love vaulted ceilings. It's sort of a mini vaulted ceiling. We lived in a loft a couple houses back. Paul and I, we shared this loft, so like it was this massive vaulted ceiling, and I lived in the loft area. It was very cool. But so this kind of reminds me of that a little bit, and I like that, you know. But anyway, so I come home today, and yeah, this is the tree. And I fucking lose it. I'm like, this is so bad. I text Paul a picture, not this picture, different picture, but a picture, and I'm like, the day I have feared has arrived, or the day that I have most feared has arrived, and so I'm just like, damn, this is so sad. Like, I'm fucking distressed about this, you know. I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, what the fuck? I wanted to email the HOA and be like, I can't believe you guys did this. But, they took down a tree on the other side of my building like 6 months ago. So, I mean, it's not like it's an unfathomable idea that they would do such a thing. So, I'm just like sort of going through the 5 stages of grief very quickly. Like, I was like angry, and then I just was like, okay, what if it's this, and like they just had to trim it down because of this, and blah blah blah. I was like, and then I just sort of like started like accepting it, and it just sucks because not only was it like a fantastic view, but it's also like a fantastic guard for me to my apartment and my window, because like my bedroom window is further than this viewpoint right here. This is the Arcadia door sort of patio area, right? Further to the left of that is my bedroom window. So my bedroom window is like almost entirely just the tree, basically. The patio is less so, but it still blocks like all of those apartments in the middle here. Like all these apartments here are basically completely blocked by this tree. So it was like extra privacy, and it's nice. It's nice. So I realized very quickly how much this tree was my anchor. My anchor to like grounding myself. Even though I'm on the 3rd floor and I'm like floating in the trees, it's still somehow my anchor to all of it. Like the poem that I wrote last weekend that I shared with you on yesterday's video was talking about those leaves rustling. Those leaves. So anyway, yeah, very sad. I text my neighbor because I have her phone number. I'm like, this is completely out of the blue, because the last time I texted her was April of last year. I was like, but I can't believe they cut that tree down to nothing. And for some reason in my head, I had this creeping suspicion that she might know something. So I texted her. And turns out, this is what she said. She said, I asked about it, and apparently it's an invasive species, and they do this once a year. I was reassured it will be back in business soon enough. So I had to kind of reverse all of the grief that I was going through because apparently they do this. I mean, I've been here since September of 2021, and this is yet to happen. So I guess it was a bit overdue. But if that's the case, like, wow, okay. Not dead. It's not over. So, I mean, it'll be cool to watch it regrow, I guess. It did seem a little bit like they left kind of a lot on it to be like taking it down fully. I mean, of course, the day could have just been like wrapped, but there's like a lot of these like the structure of the tree is still quite a bit there, So I was like, maybe they do just prune it back super far. But yeah, I guess it's an invasive species of a tree that is not from Arizona, not native here at all, and given the fact that we don't really have a winter, it like grows completely out of control. So they trim it back completely every year or so, ish. Apparently, it's illegal to have those trees brought to Arizona anymore. I can't make this shit up. So, as a native Arizonan, I suppose it's kind of antithetical to be worshiping that tree. But the point is, it's a tree. And I like a trees. I like trees. So that's the story today. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Miscellaneous, right? Yeah, let's segment that into a different thing. Last night, I had all the thoughts I decided I'm going to redo my scorecard entirely. I made a wall dedicated to general immediate to-do items because I've been realizing all my to-dos are kind of like fragmented amongst tons of different places. So I just need like one place to like drop them into. So I made it a general immediate to-do list. And one of them is creating a deep cleaning list. Like, so what I'm going to do is go around my entire apartment, every single little thing, and like make a list of every single item of work that needs to be done for like completely cleaning the place, because I haven't deep cleaned since I moved in here. And it's kind of gross. It's kind of gross. And I also can then use that time to determine like a regular schedule for some of these items, because some of these items do need to be recurring more than once a year, you know, certain things at least. But yeah, like my kitchen floors, I haven't mopped those since I moved in. Yeah, I mean, they're not that bad, but they're not great. There's a lot of stuff in the corners, let me tell you. So I tell you, when I smoke some pot, it's like my brain starts firing on all cylinders. I don't know what the fuck. Let's see what else I wrote down. Oh, I wrote down something for my therapist, because I don't have much to talk about to my therapist lately. I wrote down vast human failure is a thing that gives me anxiety lately. That's a really deep one. What spurred that, though, is I was watching the B1M, and in case you don't know what the B1M is, it's a YouTube channel on YouTube. And he talks about like architecture and stuff, and he was talking about the new Leaning Tower in New York City, and I was just like, the amount of stress that I just like randomly absorbed amongst like from the builders and all the people and all the inhabitants that like live around it. Like I just like absorbed it all at once very quickly, and I was like, oh my god, what if the building fell? Like it just, yeah. But I do get that sometimes, like randomly, like that I just start thinking about like large scale human failure. Like, because I mean, in a lot of ways we do have failure, but in a lot of ways, a lot of the systems that we have in place like don't like regularly fail, I suppose. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could look at that. But yeah, like something like that, like a complete building collapse in New York City. That's a pretty fast human failure. I also wrote down that I'm not exposing myself enough to truly novel ideas. Not wrong. You're not wrong, Mickey. I was just watching a video on Big Think about activating the curiosity/seeking center of our brain. There's a science term for the part of our brain that does that, but he was referring it to like why you're so bored at work. It's because like you're not like he was relating it to like, you know, the difference between like a cobbler and a factory line worker for Henry Ford. You know, like one as a cobbler, you're meeting the client, you're meeting the customer, you're understanding their needs, you're making their needs be met with your product, and you're giving it to them and seeing how it like briefly impacts their life, right? Whereas a factory worker does one thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over without much sort of understanding of the grander picture of their impact, right? So I like that idea, and I think that's definitely, you know, the room for experimentation, the room for play, I suppose, is sort of all that is like in the same space. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Would like to instill that more in myself. I mean, that's probably why I like my job so much, or like, okay, I guess I shouldn't say that I like my job so much. It's why I am satisfied doing my job and working where I work, is because I kind of can do whatever I want as far as like if I want to try something new or do something different, like I can mostly. You know, I gotta do the main stuff, the main criteria of my job, which is like design and making designs and talking to clients and blah blah blah, but the social media, the marketing, the internal process improvements, those things, like they're all things that I do on the outskirts of my main job, and that's all welcome and fine, so there's a lot of experimentation that I get to do and try within that. So it's probably why it makes sense. It makes sense why I don't feel like completely listless at work all the time. My job is varied enough. And I do talk to customers directly, and I do sort of see the impacts of everything like more directly than, if I was one employee in a company of 6,000, So, yeah. What else? I think that's it. That's long enough, right? 21 minutes? Are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, sorry, my story was a bit long-winded. I just wanted to sort of present it in a certain way, and that was how long it took. Yeah. Tomorrow, Ariel, Athena, and Alyssa and I, or at least tentatively, are all going to play Minecraft together for the first time in a decade, probably. It's pretty exciting. I had to log into my Mojang account and then realize that now it's converted to Microsoft, so I have to convert my account to a Microsoft account, and then I have to download a different kind of version of Minecraft onto my computer so that I can actually play with other people, because the Java version that Mojang has is only good for the Windows or the computer other Java versions, right? But if you want to play with the Windows/Xbox version, that's cross-platform, you gotta have the Windows Minecraft and blah blah blah. Very fun. So I got that all sorted, at least, and that'll be good to go. So I'm excited for that. And I probably only have to work 8 hours tomorrow, so that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Oh, and I got the analytics set up for the East Valley Art Co-op website. Or at least I got it to input into the right place, I think. I'm refreshing right now. Hold on. It still says 0 across the board. Could be that we just haven't had any visitors since I hooked it up this morning. But, yeah. Yeah. So that's exciting. I love analytics. Analytics are some of my favorite things in the world. All right. Is that enough? That's enough, right? Nobody's even watching now, right? No. Okay. Well, I'll see you probably tomorrow. And yeah. Have a good one. Stay peachy. And also do some experimentation, see what's on the edges of your life right now, like the fringes of your life. And see how you can explore that a little bit more, Whether it be your job or your hobbies or your personal care or, all that stuff. Just find little niches and pockets here and there. You can explore a little bit further. Might find something interesting. All right, that's it. Goodbye.